Well, this is one of the few places there's petroglyphs around here, so we'll start the day seeing a few petroglyphs. See a couple right here. Some nice patterns. Thing is, there's not a lot of exposed rideable rock around here. We're going to be walking mainly on the cinders. Let's go see those guys over there. Well, on our way there, we see this boulder, which is pretty nice. There's a lizard man sideways. Call those sort of scrolls, some interlocking squiggles. Guy with claws, next to him an upside down guy. Upside down is usually associated with someone who's died. In my reading, I understand that to be the case. A few more faint ones along here. Pretty nice work. Gonna be heading this way, up into the sun. Some little ones there. Little tiny ones. Snake and some hands. There's a little surprise up here if you haven't scouted it in advance, but I have. And I actually was here about 6 years ago. There's a sinkhole up here. We'll get a look at it. Look at that. It's quite a big sinkhole. There's a few of them around here. Apparently, collapsed limestone makes these, but you can see here this rock below. I don't guess that's limestone, but certainly on top, this dark layer is lava. Salt. In this volcanic field, it's millions of years old, although the recent cinders are only 1,000 years old. But that lava is what, 80, 100 feet thick. That flowed on top of this. Apparently sometime before this collapsed. I think I'll walk around the sinkhole on this other side today, and I hope to find some stuff I haven't seen before, because I've been playing around with LIDAR maps and I can see a few things that I hadn't seen before. No real reason to go down there, so I'm not going to. Continue along the side of it. So my understanding is that the lava, as it ages and degrades, cracks are apparent in it. Water can percolate through down to the limestone and undermine it. Gives rise to these collapses and these sinkholes. It's a nice day. Nice and cool so far. We like that in Arizona in July. With all this dried grass, it can be a little harder to find pottery than usual, but I'm not worried because there's a fair amount of it. One thing I was reading recently, because sort of curious, that the volcano that dropped these cinders in 1085, they believe, made people move out. There were people living here, but they came back pretty soon thereafter because they found out they could grow stuff on the cinders quite well. It was good for agriculture. But when I was reading that optimum is about 6 to 8 inches of cinders. Acts like a mulch, which keeps the moisture in. That pottery. Yeah, there's a piece of pottery. You know, much thicker than that, it's too thick. But 6 to 8 inches, you can grow a lot of crops. I think they mainly grew corn. A couple pieces of light colored or white pottery. I think I can see, it's a little hard to make out, but just past those, that tree, the sticky, the bare one, you can see a little hump over there next to the, I imagine that's a juniper. That's what's left of a habitation site. I think there'll be pottery around it. See the little hump with the rocks on it? That's where the walls have collapsed. Oh, what do we got here? It's a bigger sherd. White, a little bit of corrugation. Some more white. I think that's a rock. Got a little bit of curve to it. That's must be a rim piece. This one's got a stripe on it, so black on white. I just picked this up. It's quite an unusual thing. It looks to be a natural rock with a natural rim. I've never seen anything like that, because it looks man-made if you were to judge it by that. I don't know if anyone viewing this knows anything about that, something like that. Let me know. Unusual. Here's just a little better view of the top of this ruin. You can see sort of a square edge over there. You can also see that the elk like to hang out around here. But you know, this is just a small structure, maybe 1 or 2 rooms. Well, probably at least 2. You can see this sort of perimeter here, an edge this way. Well, I picked up a few and just arranged them here on the cinders to take a picture. I will rescatter these. It's not considered a good idea to leave them together. Some people do that and call it a little museum collection, but that's not what you do. Since they're randomly distributed around this ruin, I will just rescatter them that way. But you can see some nice black on white, a couple pieces of corrugated over here, plain. That one's white. I think it's got some paint on the other side. These red ones with some black are nice. Nice to find those. I don't know if that's, well, I won't try to guess. They all got different names, and there's a lot of subspecialties, so I won't try to name them. But just to show you what some of the backsides look like. This one does have some paint. These plain ones are plain on both sides. But it's nice to find the pottery out here on the cinders. Well, I'm excited because that might be a LIDAR hit. I had marked a spot over here, which I just labeled as a hump on the LIDAR. You don't really know whether, well, I don't know since this is my first time using it, whether these trees are going to fool LIDAR. There's lots of little bumps. I marked certain ones that looked a little different, and this looks to be one of them. Running into some pottery here. A little bit of corrugation. Another little white piece here. Well, I'll bet we see some more near that little ruin. corrugation. That's a better corrugation. It's a big one. Look at the curvature there. So this is a big rim piece from a pretty big vessel. Of course, we don't take any pottery. We don't take anything. I've found several arrowheads in my walking, but I always leave them. So here's the ruin. Again, perimeter is very easily made out. Looks like two rooms, two small rooms, because there's a division in the middle. A little bit of depth to this, so maybe it had some purpose. Maybe, I don't know much about the structure of these. Maybe a hearth, maybe they could put a fire in there. But the room delineation is pretty clear on this one. I'm walking backwards. Pick this up from right there. That's some work stone. You can tell by its shape. It's been chipped away. Fairly sharp edges. Could use it to cut things or to scrape things. First thought it was a piece of pottery with that color. Piece of black on white. Lots of little pieces of pottery. Well, it's a bit bigger. Again, sort of mild corrugations compared to some. I don't know how they distinguish. Corrugations usually got two dimensions, almost like a diamond pattern. But these are just single lines across, but definitely some textured structure. Yeah, it's a better example of corrugated. You can see, getting in the light, you can see there's more texture on that one. I think I got another LIDAR hit up there. Another point I'd marked. I can see the slightly raised hump there between the green tree and the bare tree. That's the way the ruins look around here. Of course, some of them are much bigger. But this is very distinctive. What we got here? It's got a little texture to it, a little curvature to it. That's a corrugated rim piece. And there's always pottery around these ruins. And again, see, I'll point it out again. Raised a bit because the walls have collapsed in, making it higher than the flat plane. So probably two rooms. You see the far edge here. There's the near long edge, and the other side edge over here. There's a fly on my hand. It's got a nice pattern, coming off a little bit. Check the other side. And it looks like another little LIDAR one ahead. I think what you see is the shape. You see something sticking up with a hole in the middle. And that's certainly what this is. This is smaller though. This, maybe it's just a single room. We'll see if there's any pottery around here. There's a piece. Painted piece, black on white. Oh, here's a nice one. So, I don't know, if I have to name it, I'll call it Tucson black on white, because I was reading about that on the local museum website. But I have no way of telling. Here amongst the milk duds, it looks like a piece of pottery of corrugated. And another one. That same website says that the corrugated and the black and white, the Tucson versions anyway, that the corrugated was utility ware, cooking, and I assume storage, and the black and white was somewhat fancier. But they were made the same way, apparently, by the same people. Just shut off, but here's, that looks like an interesting piece because it's got a little curvature. Again, that's a good rim piece for corrugated. You can see it's the corrugation, even though this isn't very corrugated. You can tell it's a type. And smooth on the inside. Just here at this little ruin. Whoever lived here had some pottery. Small chance there's some petroglyphs on the rock over there, so I'll go have a look. Not seeing anything. I walked that bottom and look on top. Not seeing any petroglyphs. Just found along the way a random one in the cinders, but a nice piece. There must be a little habitation site around here because I'm noticing quite a few pieces of pottery. I haven't seen the ruin. Continuing up a little hill, I keep finding more pottery. Maybe there's a ruin up here somewhere. I almost walked by it. This is obviously it. This is bigger than the other ruins. You can see what a big hump it is. Oh, look, and it's got a big hole. A lot of these things have this depression near them. And, you know, I've seen that in a lot of them, and I've wondered what it is. I thought it could be for water. It could be possibly a kiva, although that seems a little speculative. But I read something, and I think maybe we'll even see it today, that suggests maybe it is a collapsed kiva. But I don't know if you can get the sense of the depression there, but it's probably 6 feet below me. Here, I'm walking the edge of it. The ruin is just over there on a little hump. But this is a real distinct, look, this big piece. Oh, that is a big one. Oh, too bad it's, the paint is faded. That's a very nice rim piece. I don't usually find black and whites on a nice rim piece like that. That's very nice. You can see how much higher this one is compared to the surroundings. And again, it's just a bunch of collapsed stone. I don't know why this is so much higher. It could have been 2 stories. I'm not quite sure how it gets this high, if it's just sort of the edges collapsing. I think most of these are thought to have had, you know, masonry walls, and you know, this is not good stone to build with, but just, you know, low walls, and then with wood and other sorts of vegetation built as roofs. It'd be pretty hard to make 2 stories that way. But this explains the pottery we're seeing coming up the hill. And look at that depression. You can imagine that was a kiva. I'm going with that right now. There's a few pieces of pottery picked up around here at this room. And if you're curious, here's the other side. So another one up ahead. See the pile of rocks here in the foreground, and then behind it there's something even greater extent. Yeah, this goes clear over to here. So this is a big ruin. Look at this, it looks like a circle. Ants blowing off. Obviously man-made. The wind has come up. I'm on top of a little hill. Look at this though. That is a rectangular room. A couple rooms. And looks like some sort of part of the structure continues around. And I think we got something over here too. That looks like another depression. Maybe another kiva. Really a perimeter boundary here. Looks like it ends about here. There's pottery. There's not a lot of pottery so far, but there's pottery here. See that central divider for a room. Obviously the perimeter here, maybe, I don't know, I'll go with 13 by 10, reasonable sized bedroom nowadays. Let's see what we have over here. Another edge right here. You can see this little corner, far edge, and this is all built up a little bit here. Again, we got a dip down here. This would be what we're calling the kiva area, if indeed that's what those things are. See, it's definitely lower here between me and that tree without any green on it. Interesting spot. I'm sure archaeologists have something to say about this, but I'm not quite sure what it is. There may even be some stuff this way. Just notice some pottery here, black and white. One over here. Yeah, again, I don't know, a couple hundred yards from that last ruin. There may be another one around, but there's also pottery scattered around the whole area. Oh, look at this. Some black on red, some white pottery here. Some of this may have paint on it. Yeah, look at that. That's nice. It's a nice corrugated piece. Well, I just looked up after I turned the phone off from this and said this is very possibly a ruin just right here. And another low spot. The two of them seem to go together. It seems odd that every, 2 or 3 room, maybe one family place has their own kiva. That seems, which is an underground room. Seems like that would be a lot of work. Here's the low spot. I'll just walk into it. Bit of pottery in here too. Again, I don't know if the phone picks up the difference in height, but probably the edge is about the height of my belly button. I'm going to pick that one up because this nice piece of black on red is not so common. Made by different people. Pottery everywhere. Was hoping for some petroglyphs, but I don't think so. Another little LIDAR ruin that I had spotted. Obviously sort of a round perimeter up here, and maybe a couple more below. Maybe even a low spot down there. Pretty much like the others though. Some of the pottery. It's a nice painted piece. What do we got here? Another nice edge piece, corrugated, I think. Not very much corrugated, but I can tell that's the style. Pretty sure. I gotta say, that looks more like a bear than anything, although not a big bear. I don't know what else it could be. I've been heading for this one. I stumbled on this 6 years ago and was really surprised. It's got an interesting story. It's rare to find one of these sandstone buildings here on the cinders, because most of those are much near the painted desert where a lot of this rock is. This one is an authentic ruin, but it's been sort of rebuilt twice. Once by shepherds more than 100 years ago who used it, and once by an NAU class of anthropologists or archaeologists who did it as a class project. That fireplace, that's got to be the shepherds. Central beam, that may be new, but there's some original wood in here too. There's some stuff in this box too. Here's a sign-in book. See, this is where I signed in 6 years ago, and here's where I'm signing in today. I seem to be only the fourth person this year, and the first in almost 4 months. I believe the professor describes this as a kiva, which is one of these low spots. Obviously this one's rounder and maybe it's been preserved a bit, but that's what makes me think those other low spots might well be kivas. Again, I'm just sort of walking along between a few waypoints I made. I run across some pottery. I don't have any ruins suspected around here, but looking ahead, I think this looks like one up here. So yeah, I'd say this is another habitation site based on the pottery and the shape. Looks like a uniface. I think this is dacite. It's worked rock. Again, more pottery here. I came over these rocks to see if there's any petroglyphs, and I see one over there, but it's almost certainly a modern fake. It's too white, no repatination. Some wise guy did that. Well, this looks man-made. little circle. Don't notice much pottery around it, but it's unmistakable. I like the swirl. Well, here's another LIDAR waypoint. I labeled it as something because looking at it, I couldn't tell what it was. But looking at all the pottery, here's a room outline right here. Pretty clear example. I'll look around, see if I see some pottery that's worth showing. And here's a few pieces I picked up, mainly corrugated and black on white, as in the other places we've been. This one's only about, I don't know, 50, 75 yards away. And this may be the one I had labeled the LIDAR. It's a little more substantial. You can see big perimeter. Looks like it's round almost. That's a much bigger ruin. Two big, at least two big rooms, and that's bigger than one room. That had to be subdivided, or this looks like one room here. Interesting. I think it's the thing I called something because I could see low points and high points on the LIDAR. Confusing looking ruin in the LIDAR. This is from the far end now. This is looking at that far side. And this is quite a low spot here. This may well be the Kiva or Kiva-like feature here because it's lower than everything else. I'm interested to get to my next waypoint, which I think is a ball court, which will be exciting. Well, on my way to the ball court, I'm passing this thing, which looks to be a lookout. It's like some stacked stone that people could hide behind and see out that way. It could be either a hunting blind to look for animals or to look for people you're worried about. Well, I'm not an expert on ball courts, but I know a little bit. I remember learning about them in elementary school. There was something went on in ancient Central America. I don't know if that was the Mayans, but I remember hearing stories about it, the way they taught it in my book, and that may be wrong. But I do know that they were big in what we now call Mesoamerica, and they're big in Arizona too. I think it's the Hohokam, which are down in the Phoenix area, adopted the habit of building ball courts, apparently imported from the Mesoamericans. And I think there's more than 100 of them in Arizona. And these ones up where I am, I'm up north of Flagstaff, these are the northernmost. And I found one around here before in walking on the cinders. And there's a really nice restored one up in Pottery National Monument, which we're near, if you ever want to go see one. But looking at the LIDAR, I saw a shape. I said, well, that's a ball court. And that's where we're going to now. So this is it. I actually walked past it. It's maybe it's a little bit on the small side for a ball court, but I think it's about the same size as the other one I found on the cinders here. You can see it's shaped like a big bedrock metate. An ellipse that, well, I'll add the picture what it looks like on LIDAR, but it's pretty unmistakable. There's some rocks around the edge, which is what I would expect. The other one I saw on the cinders had a lot of pottery around it. I'm not seeing that here. But this is not something a farmer would make. It's not a tank. It's well, it's shaped like a ball court. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I know it's hard to pick up the topography, but it's probably, I don't know, 6 feet deep in the middle compared to the edge, 5 or 6 feet. And of course it would have been a lot deeper as originally it's been filled in by natural processes over time. There's a piece of pottery there. And well, I'll look around the edge and see if I see anything interesting. That's a pretty clear partial perimeter, these arrangement of rocks along the top edge, which is maybe something you'd expect. I just picked up a couple pieces of pottery. I'm sure there's more. Maybe a little better view from this side.